Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host Maxine. We're on episode 128. Now, to be very frank with you all, it is early in the morning, 5 a.m. at this time of recording. So my voice may sound a little deep and raspy, Tony Braxton. I'm gonna start my singing career right now, only at this hour. But I just felt moved to record right now because I feel like when it's hot on my spirit, on my being, then that's the best time to record. Now, I have been drafting different topics that I usually do. I always do this every week. I draft topics that resonate with me the most and I conjure it up for the episode. And one of the topics that came up was the topic of basically, maybe I need to be on drugs. Yes, I'm gonna say hello. Maybe I need to be on drugs. Maybe I need to go on a trip, you know, that type of trip. Psychedelics. I don't know. Maybe I need to be on something outside of me. Outside of my thoughts, outside of my body. Maybe I need an outer body experience. Maybe I need to project astrally. Maybe I need to be on the show Behind Her Eyes. Check it out on Netflix. Very powerful show. Maybe I need to be on something, a substance. I spent most of my life not really on substances. Yes, I've drunk. Yes, I drink. Not even drunk. I drink casually. But other than that, I don't smoke weed and I don't do any other drugs. And maybe I need to do so. Not for the desire to fit in with crowds who do it, who do engage. Not for just wanting to be high. I think I need to do it for my mental health. You're like, what the fuck, Maxine? I know. I'm walk with me. But I think drugs can be necessary for mental health. I feel like I've been doing this thing called life, and I don't know if I'm doing it right. And sure, there's not a exact way to do it, but when I tell you guys, I am in my head all day, every day. It is actually scary. It scares me sometimes because some of the thoughts that come into my mind, I sit with myself and I think, wow, one, I thank God that I am as self-aware as I am, because I could look at my thoughts. I could look at the realities that I create in my mind, and I could really think to myself, okay, this is irrational. This is crazy. Like, this is not what's actually happening, or there's no evidence of this happening as you are painting it out in your mind. So let's calm down. Let's try to get ourselves out of this downward spiral mentally. Yet I am always there. Like, I'm always going down these downward spirals, thinking the worst. And it's one thing to say, okay, well, because I would typically say, okay, well, I not just have anxiety. Like, I don't want to minimize it, but I would minimize it and say, well, it's just anxiety. Maybe I'm just an overthinker. I've always been an overthinker. But this has and I sit with myself, I'm 30 years old. I have always thought this way. I have always been an overthinker. I have always put myself in these realities that I put in my mind that are not necessarily what's happening in the present time. And I think sometimes I would discredit what's actually happening in front of me, the evidence of what's going on in front of me, and I would think, oh well, I'm just intuitive, right? I know before you tell me. I'm in tune with myself. You got to be in tune with your body. And I believe in intuition. I believe that your body tells you what you need to know. I believe all of that. But I also believe that sometimes we could gaslight our own selves. It's not always that toxic nigga. It's not always that narcissistic friend. And I'm saying not always, because definitely there are times when it is them. But I think sometimes more times than not, I have created situations mentally and behaved in reality based off of my mental situations. Okay. What the fuck am I talking about, right? Okay, so I really do believe drugs may help with my mental health. I'm not saying this because I'm gonna go get high tomorrow. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe I should. And I'm not encouraging drug use for anyone. I'm not encouraging drug use at all. This, listener discretion is advised. I don't know if you guys noticed in the last episode, in the show notes, I wrote listener discretion is advised. And I think I'm going to keep on saying that from now on. I think I'm going to keep on continuing that statement in the show notes from now on, because it really is advised. What I say here is really just a vomit of words and thoughts. It's not, and I'm not saying that dismissively to myself, like I'm just vomiting it out. No, what I'm saying is real, at least real to me in that present time when I'm recording. And a lot of the things I say is just damn jokes. I like to laugh. I like to be very funny. And I want that to come off as such. I don't want people to think that I'm encouraging hate speech. So the last episode, the title of that episode, Don't Date Jamaican Men, I understand how that could sound hateful. I get it. But the fact remains, do not date them. That is still prevalent, that is still relevant, that is still the motto to live by, that is still the reality you should follow. Like, I'm not backing down from that. This is an episode later, and I don't usually like to go back to previous episodes when I'm in a new episode mode upon recording. But in this case, do not date Jamaican men. You should stay away from them. Not to say they don't deserve, equality and progression in life in the society that we're in. All I'm saying is don't date them. Do not be romantically involved with them. Thank me now. Okay? I've dated a good amount of Jamaican men, and that's enough. I dated 2 Jamaican niggas, and that was enough. So let me be the one to tell you to stay clear from them. But going back to drugs. So I have been putting myself on a challenge. And the fact that it's a challenge is also maybe another reason why I should be on drugs. But I've been putting myself on a challenge. I've been challenging myself to make the first move every day. I didn't give myself like a time limit, like, for the next 30 days. I didn't do that. But I said to myself, okay, I need to make the intention clear. I need to put myself out there when it comes to just any and everything. Not romantically, of course, but just on some acquaintance or friend vibe. Make the first move. I notice with myself, I get so wrapped up in my mind, and it works when you're by yourself, right? It works when you're alone. No one has to deal with this person who's always in her head. But when you're in the presence of other people, you have to be mindful of how that may come across. You have to be mindful how maybe that is a little standoffish. Maybe that's why you don't have the friends that you, or you don't have enough or a diverse group of friends that you want, because you're always to yourself. Because I think about how much I would say I love, like, I would say that I'm an ambivert, not necessarily an introvert. I used to say introvert before, but then I realized I really do like to be with people when it comes to the fact that I'm with people who I like, right? When I'm even with people who I just met, if there's a good vibe, I like being with them. And I like just the energy from that, and just the great spirits among us. But typically, I spend a lot of time alone. A lot of time alone is spent. And that may not always be a good thing. It really may not be. I go out to eat alone. I will go grab a drink alone and sit at the bar and have a quick meal. I will go to the pool alone. I will go shopping alone. I would run errands alone. Like, I do a lot of alone stuff. I do a lot of things alone. And I would chalk it up to being, well, I'm just an introvert, or I just like to, people drain me sometimes. And although that's true, I would say I'm more of an ambivert than anything. But I realize if you're describing yourself as an introvert, I think it has a lot to do with you feeling like, and I can speak for myself, but I think obviously I'm not the only one going through these like mental stuff, but I think oftentimes when we do things alone, when I do things alone, it's because of me walking and operating in fear. I've let fear dictate my actions, so much so that I would rather not. I would rather not be with a group of people. I would rather not make the first move and ask a friend out for drinks and, dinner and a night out, because I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of denial, or I'm afraid of you not really wanting me, you not really wanting to be my friend. This is just a friend stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about just friend level. So when I would challenge myself to say hi, to just even say hello, it's coming from a mindset of nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to be your friend. You see how they didn't look at you? See how they say hello to you first? You see how they didn't their body language is telling you that they don't really want to talk to you, right? So I'm thinking these things, and I'm really I'm believing this wholeheartedly. Like, oh, okay, you're right. No one wants to talk to me, so let me not say hello. Let me not make the first move. Let me not. And I would just walk very narrow. Like, I would walk in my lane. I will only look in my lane. I wouldn't make eye contact. I'll walk straight. And thank God that I am as self-aware as I am. And I recognize how that comes across. I remember in undergrad, when I was at UNH, my roommate, who was my best friend at the time, and I say at that time purposely because it was at the time, but we lived together, and we lived together for the last 3 years. So, in college for 4 years, the last 3 years of my undergraduate career, we were roommates. And she said a comment to me. She said how I would just walk into, and we share the room. So, let me give you guys some context. So, when I started undergrad, I never lived in a dorm, y'all. I just lucked out. God really showed up and showed out for me. I stayed so the way that UNH is the way that it was is that there are dorms and then there are apartment style living. Of course, a lot of other colleges are the same. A lot of other universities are the same. And that was the option for students, for on-campus students. You either live at a dorm style dormitory or you live at an apartment style home that is still under the school. And typically the apartment style homes are only for upperclassmen. So only for juniors and seniors and beyond, but it's only for them. But freshman year, y'all, somehow, some way, I was positioned and placed in an upper class apartment style home that was afforded to the school. So on-campus students had access to it. And that was always my experience. So from freshman year to senior year, upon graduation, I always stayed at an apartment style home. And it was the bomb. So I didn't have to share a bathroom with 30 girls on the floor. I didn't have to have a little bathroom caddy. Like, ew, the ghetto. That was not my experience. I was lit. I had a full couch. I didn't have to sleep in a bunk bed. I had my own room, y'all. Like, it was lit. And I had a full-size kitchen every year of my college experience. So that was amazing. So when I was rooming with my best friend at the time, she said a comment to me. She said how I would walk into the room. So we shared the room because it was typically an apartment of 4, either 3 or 4. And sometimes if one of our roommates had a man, she would typically not be at the apartment. She wouldn't be there most nights. So it would be an apartment really of 2, because me and my best friend, she and I were always the ones who were mostly single. So we shared a room, and she told me how when I would walk into our room, I wouldn't even look at her. Like, I wouldn't even look her way. I would walk very straight and narrow towards the closet, towards the bathroom that's connected to our room, towards my bed. Like, I wouldn't even look her way. And she actually like showed me a demonstration. Like, she acted like she was me and walked in the room. And I was like, okay, bitch, what? Like, first I was a little offended because when someone tells you who you are and it's not who you thought you were, it's hard to settle. It's hard to take that in. And when she told me this, and also being in college, I was learning a lot about myself that I was not able to know prior to. Because when you grow up in an environment where you knew everyone since toddler years, you grew up with everyone. Like, my church family was my family, like my second family. My church family was my extended family growing up. And so we all knew each other. We all had a close relationship. We all spent a lot of time together, and there wasn't really much room for like disconnection. Like, we all just kind of just grew, like we were each other's skin in a way. We just really grew up with each other. So when you go to a new environment with people who are just now meeting you, people who are just now trying to figure you out and see what you're about, you may be misconceived, you may be just misjudged, all these things. But when she told me that, I knew it was true. I didn't feel like she misjudged me. It was just a hard truth to accept. And so I was thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know why I do that. Like, I don't get it. Okay. Like, so I'm just walking towards my closet because I need to grab my pair of shoes to wear to leave to get to class. Like, there was a reason behind it. But I realized what she was saying was I completely detach emotionally. I completely disconnect from my emotions, and I'm just like all business. I'm just going towards the business goal. And I realize that that's a true thing, and I do that even to this day. I'm not the same exact way. I've grown in many ways, but I realized that I was really moving out of fear. I was thinking like, okay, well, let me just mind my business. Let me just walk my own way. I don't want to burden anyone. I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to be rejected. So I'm going to just stay in my lane. The safest place for me is to be by myself. Because I fear that when I'm with other people, even people who I do call friends, people who I do have friendly times with and we share moments together, I still have that fear. I still have that fear of not really being wanted. I still have that fear of not really fitting in and being rejected and just coming into a room that is not welcoming to me. So instead of facing that fear or conquering that fear or like going against that fear, because that fear is not always the reality, I would just do it alone. Like, okay, well, I don't want to deal with the rejection, so I'm just going to go to the pool alone. Like, I would deal with the rejection to the point where if I go out of my way, and I see it as going out of my way because it's hard for me to make the first move and ask you out. Like, if I'm reaching out to a friend to just, hey, let's go out for happy hour, or hey, let's go shopping together. I love your style. Let's like doing stuff like that. Like, that's hard for me to even say out loud, even though I may think it, even though I may want to have that experience with someone. I fear going out of my way to asking you because I fear that you can't do it and you're not available. And even though people have every reason to not be available, right? You may have had a long day. You just don't want to go out. You may not have the ability to go out shopping with me right now because maybe your finances are not where it could be to go shop. Like, there's a plethora of reasons why someone says no. But whenever someone say no to me, whenever someone says no to me, I see it as a no to me. No, you said no. It's a no to me. Like, you're saying no to every ounce of my being. I'm just a no to you. Like, you would have said yes to everyone else, but no, you only said no to me. Like, I take it so personal. I take it so head on. I take it like you just don't want anything to do with me. I'm not good enough for you. I'm not a good friend to you, or you don't see me as a friend to you, and it's a no. So yeah, I would think these things, and I think to myself like, okay, well, I don't want to always be like this, y'all. Like, it's very exhausting, and it's actually it's very trippy. It's very trippy because I think sometimes I'm not as good of a friend as I could be because I get so caught up in my head that I don't want to reach out to that friend or whomever because I fear of rejection. So instead, I'm not going to reach out to you. I'm just going to do everything by myself. But the friend may think, and no one's come up to me. I'm just thinking this on my own accord. No one has approached me, but my friend may think, okay, dang, Maxine is shady, or Maxine doesn't, maybe Maxine doesn't like me. Maybe Maxine doesn't invite me out. Maxine doesn't, but here's the funny part. Whenever a friend reaches out to me or whomever reaches out to me and asks to hang out, like, hey girl, you want to go blah, 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 or hey, you want to check out blah, 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 I am always ready. I'm always ready. I'm always free and available. I'm always wanting to, for the most part. Of course, there are times when I can't make it, but for the most part, I am always available. I'm always available. And that's one of the reasons why I take it personal whenever someone says no to me, because I am always available for you. So whenever I experience a no, I think to myself, okay, well, you just don't want to be with me. You don't care about me. So I'm never going to hit you up again. I'm never going to make the first move. If you hit me up again and want to hang out, then I'll be available, but I'm not going to make the first move. I'm just going to stay to myself. I can only count on myself. I could do this life thing by myself. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live in this type of mindset anymore, thinking that it's only me. It's only me against this world. Nobody likes me. Nobody's going to be here for me. No one cares. Like, I think this so much that I apply it to my familial relationships. Like, I would think like people in my family don't really fuck with me like that. And I think sometimes it could be true. And that's the thing. Like, and that's the trippy part about it, because I would feel like maybe I am telling myself what I need to know. Maybe my body, maybe my mind is telling me what I need to know. And I'm just reacting off of that. Maybe I am intuitive. I think we all are. But I would genuinely believe that, no, this person doesn't like me. This person doesn't care about me. This person doesn't care to reach out to me. But I also see it as, so I have a family member who I was very close with growing up. Like, me and her were super close, like two peas in a pod type close. And as we got older, she's the type of person who, as soon as she gets a new friend, as soon as she meets someone else, so a new girl comes on the block, it's forget Maxine. It's forget Maxine time. It's, I don't know Maxine anymore. And this is a family member. But yeah, she will always instantly be best friends with the next person. And then suddenly I will find myself on the outskirts. So suddenly I will find myself not really fitting in. And it's like, girl, we're family. How am I not fitting in? Right? Like, aren't we of the same kind? But I will find myself in those situations with this family member for a really long time. And then I realized, okay, well, I'm just not gonna be close. I'm just gonna back away from this person, because this is not how I like to feel when I'm in a relation with somebody. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm hanging out with you, but you're not even paying attention to me. You're not even seeing me. You don't put effort in our relationship, and I'm being taken advantage of. So I think in those cases, am I in my head or am I not? And in those cases, I really am not in my head. I really recognize what is the evidence in front of me and chalk it up to, no, this person is just not being a good friend to you. But I think sometimes I feel like sometimes I could create realities that may not be the case. Like, when I would meet complete strangers, when I'm on the elevator, I would immediately size them up in my head. Like, I would look at them, I'd be like, okay, well, they probably wouldn't want to be friends with me. Or okay, well, we probably don't have anything in common. Just immediately thinking there's a difference, there's a wall between us, when sure, we may not wear the same clothes, or sure, we may not have the same style, but that doesn't mean a friendship can't blossom. But I would immediately judge that. And I would think, okay, well, they probably looking at me like I'm not good enough for that. I just really just shit talking to myself, basically. And coming from a Christian background, oftentimes the answer is to pray it away, right? And I'm not saying that dismissively, but it is sometimes said dismissively. Pray it away or talk to God about it. And I really do. I really spend time with God. I go into devotion mode. I journal. I sit with myself. And I think to myself, like, okay, what's going on? Like, is this working? Is the mic on, Lord? Like, what? And what I mean by that is I don't know. Like in the mornings when I'm doing my devotion, when I'm praying, when I'm setting my day, I'm setting the intention, I'm setting the tone. I feel like it's temporary. I feel like, okay, I feel recharged, I feel refreshed. I feel like God just washed my face and I'm ready to conquer the day. But and I will do this like around, like I'll do this around between 7 and 8 in the morning since the summer has begun. Because otherwise, I'm on vacation, so that's the time frame. But otherwise, it will be right before work. And what I realize is that, okay, I will feel refreshed, I will feel renewed, I will feel so good. But that will last so I will start at 7. That will last until about 11, okay? About 11, I would feel, so from 7 to 11, I will feel refreshed. I will feel renewed. I will feel confident in myself and my abilities and my talents and my personality and who I am. I'll feel so good. I will go work out because that's, I really genuinely believe that you have to set your day off with that intention to do on a positive note. Like, okay, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna eat a hearty breakfast or a healthy breakfast. Really, I'm gonna go already take a shower. I'm gonna what else? I'm gonna even do my face. I'm gonna beat my face. I'm gonna put on a little bit of makeup. I'm gonna get dressed. Even though I'm just gonna stay home for the few hours ahead, but I'm gonna start it off. Let me start off today. I'm not gonna just be in sweats. I can't just lay down on my bed for X amount of hours. I have to get up because it really just is against me to just lay down still. It really is hard for me. So I would feel good from 7 to 11. Come 12 o'clock, bitch. Yo, not even. Come 11:05. Boom, 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 boom. Downward spiral. I will go down. I'll be on this high. I'll be on this high. This substance-free high. That's only biblical high, I guess. I will be high from 7 to 11, y'all. But from 11:05 on until whenever, I'm down. I am falling down. I am on the way down. I am just, ugh. And what I mean by that is I will just be down in my thoughts. I'll be thinking like, well, nobody wants me. Nobody cares about me. I have no friends. Even though, like, I do. Like, I would have friends. But I would think about, like, okay, well, I'm the type of person, if you don't hit me up, like, if you don't text me, if you don't reach out to me, I think of it as a form of rejection. I think of it as, well, you don't want me. I'm not good enough for you. You don't want me in your life. I'm not a friend to you, or you don't consider me a friend to you, and therefore I don't have any friends. And I fail to remind myself every time and just believe, no, people have lives. People have other things going on. People have stuff. Like, you're not always in that makes sense to me. That makes sense. Like, that's the rational part of my head that is rationalizing or trying to rationalize with my irrational side. But my irrational side wins every time, y'all. Like, every time my irrational side is like, no, girl, you just don't have friends. My rational side is saying, no, your friend is just busy at work. Your friend has a lot going on. Your friend has family issues. Your friend is trying to figure out their life. Your friend is busy, is genuinely busy. But my irrational side is saying, well, you make time for what you want, right? Well, people make time for what they want. People make time for who they care for. And it's like, then my rational side would think, okay, well, that is a good point. You do make time for what you do make time for what you want. You do figure out your schedule and you cross off what you plan to accomplish today, and that is time that you are making for what you want, right? right? But either way, I see it as a form of rejection, right? I see it as, well, I haven't heard from this friend. I haven't heard from somebody in X amount of time, whether albeit days or hours. I see it as, you are rejecting me. You're rejecting me. And I think drugs can help me. I think drugs can help me with that. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just really open to other experiences that could help me out of this whirlpool that I'm in my thoughts. I'm tired of when it hits 11:05. Oh, here we go with these thoughts. Here we go with the fear. Here we go with the rejection. Here we go with the belief, because I will genuinely believe you don't want me. You don't want me. So because I believe you don't want me, I'm going to go out by myself. And then I will chalk it up to, well, I just like my own time. I like to do things on my own. I like to not have to wait on anybody. And although that is true, I still do value quality time with people, right? I still do value having great conversations with people. Like, I really thrive off of that. I talk a lot about how I would say I'm a sapiosexual in a way, because I love when my mind is stimulated. I love when I am in conversation with someone and they bring me to a whole different level in my thoughts. Like, that's beautiful. Like, wow. And then we could go there and we could talk about conspiracies. We could talk about whatever. And it's just a great time. But I have this fear so heavily in me of rejection that I don't even want to make the first move. I don't even want to reach out. So instead, I'm going to just do it by myself. I'll just do it by myself. I'll just go out to eat by myself. I'll go to the pool by myself. I'll go shopping by myself. I'll go to a walk. I'll go on a walk. I'll go to the park by myself. Because no one else gets me. No one else wants me. No one else. Like, I would just genuinely believe these things. So drugs may be the answer for me. But I'm saying this, like, I know I'm laughing, right? But I'm dead ass. I'm like dead ass. But no, I don't want to say that honestly, because I have some students who sometimes will listen to my damn I don't know why y'all if you are under the age of 18, you please go. Like, what are we doing? It's weird. It's really weird. But I refuse to censor myself. I think censorship is a form of white supremacy. I'm being so honest right now. I think censorship is a form of white supremacy. I think dialing yourself back is a form of white supremacy. I think code switching is a form of white supremacy. Like, all of that is white supremacy, period. So I get it, when your occupation is this like professional thing that you feel like you have to always be that type of person. But I also believe in, working in education, working at a school, it's more liberal than it is anything else. Like, I'm not at a Fortune 500 where maybe me wearing my natural hair won't be acceptable, even though they won't say it out loud because that's illegal. But for the most part, that's unacceptable, at least society wise. When you're working at a corporate firm or something more tight knit. But when you're at a school, you're working at a school, it is more open conversations. It is more openness. So there is more room to be your full self. So I'm grateful for that. And I also just outside of school, I feel like I should, and I will continue to be my whole self, right? Like, I'm not going to shy away from talking about topics like sex or sexual experiences I've had and anything, or swearing, and no. So yes, it's a little uncomfortable whenever a student may stalk me and find me. Then again, I'm not gonna dial back, because that's white supremacy. I'm not gonna dial back. I'm not gonna not be myself. I'm not gonna be afraid to talk about certain topics because, a kid might fuck these kids. Hello? That's really the end. But no, not fuck these kids. I get it. But anyway, going back to drugs. I feel like drugs could help me get out of my head. And it's like, okay, well, it's temporary though, right? Because you're not always going to be high. You're not always going to, what is it? Like, you're not always going to be in that mental state. So you will have to consistently be high. You will have to, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to be like Boston Bay, who nigga would be high every. I remember we was on, y'all. I have so many experiences with this guy. So there's a lot of different references that I am able to pull from my time with him. But I remember the first date that we had. He, and I knew something was a little off because his eyes were like, just like big, like super, like alert was on 100. Like, okay. So we went out. I still remember where we went. It was this restaurant next to my church, actually, because he lived around that area at that time. And this restaurant, they had good food. Me and my cousins used to go there. So I think I suggested the restaurant, or maybe he did. But either way, it worked. We went to the restaurant, and we're seated. And we're, the preliminary questions, or, so tell me about yourself. Tell me, do you have a father? Because, these Black Americans don't be having dads. I swear, do I sound xenophobic? I know I talk a lot of shit about Africans and Jamaicans. Maybe I'm a xenophobe. They be like, oh, well, Black people can't be racist. Well, can you be a xenophobe? Because a bitch might be. Again, listener discretion is advised. So we was on this date. It was our very first date, y'all. Very first date. He's sitting across from me. His eyes are bugshot. Like, it wasn't red, but it was super alert. Super like, like, okay, nigga, what, did you just shoot up? What's going on? And we're talking about other stuff, like, preliminary things, like, do you have a dad? And he mentions that he's high right now. I'm like, oh, okay. He mentions that he's high right now. And I'm like, okay, do you smoke all the time? Do you, like, what's going on? And he says how he's always high. Like, there are rare times when he's not high. Like, he's always high. And then he went on to say how he said, yeah, my dad's a dope fiend. My dad's a dope fiend. He's a dope fiend. Like, so, just like, damn, I just met you. This is our first date. So you're telling me you're high all the time. Like, there are hardly any moments when you're not high. And that definitely is a true statement. And you're also telling me that you have an addictive father. A father who is addicted. So, okay, this may run in your family? Okay. These are like clear red flags, right? Clear red flags, but again, I was at a different time in my life, and I was a different time in my life, so I put up with it. But these were clearly red flags. So anyway, Boston Bay is Jamaican. So again, to what I said last episode, do not date Jamaican men. But this was all clear to me. He was saying these things. He was like, he's high all the time. And his father's a dope fiend. And I remember he was like, we were eating. The food was so good there. Don't get me wrong. And the way I eat, like, I don't give a fuck who's in front of me. I'm not one of those prissy girls. Like, no offense. I hate when people say, no offense. Ugh, I don't know why I just said that. But I was thinking about, like, I don't want to be a pick-me. I don't want people to think I'm a pick-me. Because me just saying, I'm not those other girls, that's a prime example of being a pick-me. So I had to say no offense. But seriously, I'm not trying to be offensive, but, like, there has been this, like, idea that when you go on a date with a guy, you're not supposed to eat. Like, not even not eat a lot. No. You're not supposed to eat. Like, you barely touch your food. You order a salad. You make it very cute. And let me tell you something about me. I'm gonna eat. I don't care who's in front of me. I don't care if I'm in front of the president. I don't care if, Jesus came down right now and was like, hey Max, let's talk about your mental health. There's a plate in front of me, a plate of food that is good. I'm eating. I'm not ordering this. I've never ordered a salad on a day. Like, what the fuck is a salad? This should be a ban. Like, there should be a ban. You should not be able to order salads on a date. If period. Like, why am I going to a restaurant and eating a fucking salad? I go to a restaurant to eat the primest rib. Okay? Even though I've been taking a break from eating red meat. But, you go to a restaurant to eat, like, very class A foods. Okay, what's considered class A? Not a fucking salad. I'm eating a leaf. I'm eating a leaf right now because I don't want to look too hungry in front of this nigga, even though I'm a human being like you. But anyway, so I ordered the rotisserie chicken. I think he ordered the same thing. He definitely ordered the same thing. Because I remember. So he ordered the same thing. And he's chowing down this chicken bone, y'all. Like he never ate before. Like, it was, I don't know if he mentioned to me if it was his first meal. So it may have been his first meal that day. But he was eating it down. like I'm talking about, there was grease on his face while eating this chicken wing. Okay? And this chicken wing, it wasn't like a small chicken wing. It was those chicken leg quarters. Those be the best type of chicken. Like, if you give me a chicken leg quarter, give me a chicken leg quarter. Look it up, y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. A chicken leg quarter. Hello? And when it's cooked right, my mom knows how to cook it right. And I would be like, God damn. And with the right rice, chicken leg quarter with some diucole. And diucole is just, it's brown rice with it's red pinto beans with brown rice. Bitch. Like, that's a meal, okay? So don't tell me you're about to order a salad. Give me a chicken leg quarter. Do you have a chicken leg quarter? Okay? So anyway, he was eating the chicken leg quarter. And grease on his face. Juice extra juicy. Like, it was juicing up more than regular, right? You know, the sexy juice, when you have that LL Cool J type of lip action going on. No. His lips were greased. He put hair grease on his lips. It was greased down. So he's chowing it down. And he's talking about his dope fiend daddy. He's talking about being high all the time, and he's never not high. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay. Okay, good day, sir. But I bring that up because he was high all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, like, what the hell is going on that you feel like you need to be high all the time? That you feel like you can't conquer the world in your sober state of mind? And, there was a sadness or just like this defeated feeling I felt for him, because I was thinking like, damn, like maybe his reality is so messed up that he can't deal with it in a sober state of mind. So much so that he needs to be high all the time. And then I was judging him like, okay, well, he can't cope, or he doesn't know how to cope, and he's lazy, and he's a loser. He's a bum. Who gets high all the time? Don't you have stuff to do? Don't you have things to work out? Don't you? All these things. And, before we're quick to judge, I think we have to recognize that there are different realities that people have. Everyone lives a different life. Even though we're in the same world, we may live on the same block. We may be of the same skin tone. We may be of the same gender. Like, we may have a lot of similarities, but we're not living a similar life experience. We're not walking down the road in the same perspective. we're not battling the same demons. We're not sitting with the same thoughts. We're not. And we have to live with that every day, every day, every day. So when it hits 11:05 a.m. every morning, I'm just sitting in these thoughts. I'm sitting in the fear. I'm sitting in the rejection or the perceived rejection that I have in my head. I'm sitting in the belief that nobody wants me. I don't have any friends. Nobody cares. Or he's just here for this. Or he's just here for, like, completely dumbing down what I bring to the table and cheapening it to sex, or cheapening it to, oh, well, this person's just lonely, that they just want to hit you up, type of thing. And I don't know if prayer is enough for me. And it sucks to say that out loud because I am a Christian, or at least I believe in God, right? I believe in prayer. I believe in the power of our tongue. I believe in all these things. And I still think this alone may not be enough for me. Because when I've done it many times alone, when I've just prayed, right? When I just worship God, right? And will sing and praise and worship. When I would just read the Bible, it will work for a few hours from 7 to 11. But 11:05, there's a little 5-minute grace period. But once it hits 11:05, I'm hit with okay, I'm back to being unwanted. I'm back to being unloved. I'm back to being unfuckable with. Nobody hits me up. Nobody cares about me. And sure, you may say, well, just, reach out to people. You can make the first move, and maybe said person always feels like they're always making the first move to you, and that's totally valid. I agree with that. I do. I think oftentimes than not, there are people in my life who make more of the first move, and I'm so grateful for them, who they just do it every time. Like, I have a friend who, every time she's in town, she always reaches out to me and the group of friends that we're friends with, the mutual friends that we have, and she always makes that first move. Like, she never says anything, at least I don't think she feels that way either, about feeling like she's always making the first move. Like, she doesn't feel weird about it. She just does it. And I want to get there. I want to get to that place where I don't feel weird about making the first move. I want to get to the place where I don't even think about it as, oh, I'm making the first move. I just want to make the move, right? So that's why I've been challenging myself to just do. Like, okay, well, I'm going to make the first move. Or I'm just going to make the move. I'm going to say hello first to strangers. I'm starting it off with strangers. Maybe I should start off with people in my life. But then people in my life, I already have these, like, preconceived notions. Like, oh, well, they just don't want to really be my friend. They don't want to be in my life. So I think with drugs, I'm going back to drugs again. But I think, yeah, I really feel like, unfortunately, prayer is not enough for me. And maybe drugs could be an added source that could provide me with the clarity or with the push that I need to get out of the mindset that I want to get out of. Maybe it could give me that out-of-body experience. And I don't want to be high all the time, you know what I mean? But I think sometimes a lot of people who are addicted to substances, they get high all the time because it feels good, right? I remember the first time I got drunk. Not even drunk. I just got a little tipsy. I got wavy, because that was the term back then in undergrad. Like, ooh, I'm a little wavy. I'm wavy. I'm waved out. Because it really felt like that. You would drink a little bit, and, when it's your first few years of drinking, first few moments of drinking, your vision is a little distorted. It really feels a wavy, like your vision feels wavy, like dead ass. And I would say that, like, ooh, I feel wavy. And a lot of my peers said the same thing. And it was a fun, like, it was cool. Ooh, like, it's a cool feeling being wavy. It's a cool feeling being drunk in a way. And if I can only imagine being high, smoking a lot of weed and feeling that wavy feeling and getting addicted to that. But weed just doesn't work for me. Weed doesn't work for me. I really hate the smell and I just can't get with it. But I think maybe for me, maybe I need to go on like a trip, a spiritual trip, and just like take ayahuasca. I don't know. All I'm saying is something has to change, and I will continue to be intentional when it comes to my thought patterns. I will continue to combat my irrational thoughts. I will continue to just be intentional with what I consume, like the things that I watch, the things that I eat and drink. Like, I will be mindful of that. Like, even with like my diet lately, I've been withdrawing from consuming red meat. And that is like, I never thought I would see today. Like, when I tell you a bitch is an oxtail queen, okay? Especially with, there's a dish called legume from the Haitian culture. And this dish is a common dish that you would eat growing up as a Haitian person. You know, growing up in a Haitian household, you would eat legume for maybe like special occasions or even just like on a Thursday. Like, it doesn't really matter, but you'll eat it. And legume is a vegetable stew that includes oxtails, and you can also add crab legs to it. Like, it's the bomb.com, and you just have it over a bed of white rice, okay? Like, I'm sorry, nigga. What the fuck? This is a cuisine, okay? It's a cuisine. So I would eat that a lot growing up, and I would make that often since living on my own. And we know oxtail is a red meat. And I've been learning a lot about red meat and the impact it has on your hormones and how it could leave your hormones. Shout out to Freckles Bay for educating me, but he would like tell me about like certain things, and I'll just like process it, like, oh, let me learn about it for myself and do my research. And I was very moved by it because I was thinking about that time when me and him were he was in Florida, and how I felt like he abandoned me, and because I texted him and he didn't hit me up in a timely manner, or what I considered to be a timely manner, and I felt like he just up and left me, even though I knew he didn't, because his stuff was still there. But I just felt like, what if he just did? Like, he really did. And I went on this downward spiral, thinking and believing this thought, like, no, he left me. And I was spiraling, y'all. And we had a conversation about it. And he asked me, you know, do you think maybe your period or even your diet could have contributed to your emotions, you know, give or take? And sometimes when men in particular, when men bring up your period as a reason why you're crazy, like, damn, girl, you on your period, right? Oh, shit, okay, that explains it. Let me not talk to you for the next 5 days. You know, niggas would say that. I've heard guys say that. And being with Boston Bay for the time that I was with him, he would say a lot of times that I was crazy. Oh, here we go, you acting crazy again. And like, very, very rude, you know, very dismissive, very, very passively too. Like, instead of brushing me off, try to understand my thoughts. Like, try to understand why I would think this way, or try to understand, hey, maybe, have you ever, like, there's a way to approach somebody, especially a woman, when it comes to their emotions. When we're already emotional beings, like, we are already designed, women specifically are already designed to be emotional. We're encouraged to be that way. You know, when we fall, when we were younger, when we cry, we will be comforted, we will be nurtured. But when a man cries, when a man falls, when he gets hurt, a boy at the time, he would be pushed to like shut it up, be the man that you need to be. Pucker up, nigga. Like, damn, he is 6. But that's the environment. That's the society way, the societal way. So I'm naturally emotional. But there's more to it now. Like, okay, wait. Not only am I naturally emotional, you're meaning to tell me that my diet, what I'm eating, could have affected my emotions even more? You're telling me that these oxtails that I've been eating could have affected the chemical balance in my mind? You're telling me this prime rib could have, like, it goes down because I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, all of the red meat that I've been eating all of my life, or at least as of recently, could have been detrimental to my emotional and mental well-being. Oh, once he even asked me, he gently asked me that question. Oh, do you think, or have you considered your period affecting your emotions and your diet? And he would send me different links to different talks that these professors and doctors would have about the hormone balance in a woman and our estrogen and the foods that impact that. And I watched them and I'm mind blown. Like, wait, I'm sorry, what? You're meaning to tell me this oxtail this oxtail that I suck the bone on every Sunday is impacting my health? You're meaning to tell me the red fucking meat that I've been eating all of my life has impacted my emotional well-being, and I've just been taking it in the ass? Huh? Like, whoa. I was mind blown. So I've been withdrawing from red meat because I'm afraid. I'm afraid now because I feel already this like instability sometimes when it comes to my emotions, because I'm like trying to gather myself. I'm trying to be well. And I don't want anything that could take away any progress that I've been making emotionally and mentally. Yeah. And I think, like, even though I'm saying, like, okay, yeah, from 7 to 11, I'm good. And from 11:05 until whenever, I'm fucked up. Like, I'm saying that, like honestly, but I'm also, like, being dramatic. But in that time frame, though, I will actively go against negative thoughts and negative realities that I will conjure up in my mind. I will actively go against them. And what I don't want to do anymore is that. Like, I don't want to always be on active battle. Like, I don't want to, excuse me. Oh my gosh. Just burp. I don't want to always actively fight within myself. Like, I'm fighting to stay stable. I'm fighting to stay aware of my present moment. Like, I'm thinking, and the way my thought pattern is, like, I think ahead. I'm thinking, like, even though I'm here right now, right? It is this time, it is this date right now. But I'm thinking 2 weeks from now. I'm thinking 3 months from now. I'm creating already scenarios that haven't happened yet. I've already created a home for them in my mind. And that's what I don't want to do anymore. So I've been doing, like, I'm not that bad necessarily. Like, I'm not, like, about to fall off purposely from a cliff or anything. Like, thank God. Like, I don't have those type of thoughts. But I do want to do better. So, like, I have been doing the intention that I can, right? So I've been withdrawing from red meat because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to fuck up my hormonal balance even more, right? I'm already emotional. I'm a woman, but I don't want to be too emotional, right? So there's one. I have been practicing ways to be more present in the moment. So I would, and I think I read it somewhere or I just figured it out, but I thought to myself, okay, to be more present in the moment, I have to connect with what's happening right now, right? So I would access my five senses. Okay, what am I seeing right now? What am I touching right now, right? So what am I feeling tangibly right now? What am I smelling right now? Like what am I hearing right now? You know, I would connect with my five senses to ground me in the present moment. So that's been helpful, but it's hard. It's hard because this thing on my head, right? This thing in my head is finding a way still to counter any progress that I'm making. And I'm making progress, but I feel like the progress is not enough. I feel like it's always a daily battle. So, and then working out, like, you know, so I work out. Exercise is definitely, it helps so much. So I make a point to work out every day or 5 days out of the week. So I do what I can. I'm not just sitting back and, you know, about to cut myself, you know, thank God. But I understand how people could get there. Don't get me wrong. I can understand how people could be suicidal. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying this to be on high alert for anyone. Please, like I'm fine considering. But I understand how people could get there. So this is me saying out loud, I need to be on drugs. I'm a fucking joke. Listener discretion is advised, yo. I'm telling you. All I do is laugh. All I do is kiki, nigga. All we do is kiki. But no, seriously, I think drugs, and look, this is also a disclaimer to, I don't want the drug dealers hitting me up. I'm talking about drug dealers like niggas who just, I got a man, I got a girl who, you know, who got the stuff that you need, and I heard your last podcast, I got you, I want it to be an organic experience though. Like, I gotta trust you, right? I have to do the research because of course I'm gonna be in my head, or I don't know, like maybe I gotta be in Belize, you know, I gotta go to Costa Rica and figure it out. But anyway, I say all that to say I just meant for this to be a quick 30-minute intro. But going off of crazy, let's talk about Britney Spears real quick. I was not going to talk about it. I was not interested in talking about it before because I brushed on this topic a while ago when it first came out, that not even a conservatorship. There was another instance in the news prior to that came out about her. But I do think she's crazy, y'all. Look, this is coming from someone who just basically said she's crazy, right? I basically just said, to wrap up everything I just said earlier, that I'm crazy and that I need help. So, coming from that authentic place of mine, I think Britney Spears is a crazy person too. I think she has difficulties herself, and I think she was placed on conservatorship to help her. Now, don't get me wrong, I think there are definitely instances in her conservatorship and in conservatorship in general where people are taken advantage of, where people are being abused. So I absolutely agree with that. I was watching a movie called, I Care For You A Lot on Netflix. I Care For You A Lot, or I Care A Lot, one of them. But it was the same woman who, did you guys see Gone Girl? That's such a good movie. Oh my goodness. I haven't watched it since the last time I watched it, which was the first time. But I haven't watched it in years. And when I watched it, so it's called Gone Girl again, and it features Ben Affleck. I don't know why Tyler Medea's ass was in that movie, but he did do a good job in his role. But it was Ben Affleck and the woman, I forgot her name, Rosamund Pike, something like that. But the main woman, the blonde hair one, who faked her death, and learning that it was a real story, like this actually happened. Yo, like, nigga, what? Talk about crazy. I mean, that shit is pair up with other crazies and just figure out life together. No, but what happened? Yeah, so she's the same actress in this movie, I Care For You A Lot, or I Care A Lot, on Netflix. And in that movie, she plays this predator, basically. She is in the healthcare field, and she would make herself be the primary guardian of these elderly people that she'll pick out from the nursing home. And these elderly people may not have living family members anymore, or may not have family members who are active in their life. So they are subjected to being at the nursing home. They are subjected to living a lonely life. And these elderly people come from a rich background. They may have a nice home. They may come from a strong retirement that they have living off of. And being the main woman here, the main character, she knows the system. She knows how to finagle her way into being that person's primary guardianship. And when she is doing that, she has full access to these elderly people's just funds, their bank accounts, their assets, like everything. She has full access to it, and she takes advantage, and it's a horrible thing. And it really opens your eyes to how fucked up certain nursing homes can be, how fucked up guardianship and conservatorship in general can be. I'm not saying it is all the time, but it definitely can be. So I definitely believe that maybe Britney Spears had been taken advantage of. But aside from that, I think she is someone who is not mentally stable. I don't think she needs to have more children. But who am I? Again, I talk about being about freedom and standing for your freedom and living in a world where you have your own freedom. So I agree with that. But I also recognize that there are some mothers out there who do not need to be mothers, who should have not been mothers. And, some parents in general should not have been parents, but it just worked out that way, right? And I think she's one of them. Honestly, I don't know I don't know her relationship with her children, but I remember learning about her through the tabloids and stuff. And not to say the tabloids are always speaking truth to power, but I think some of these things that we see can be true evidence of who she is. And from what I've gathered throughout the years, I don't think she's all the way there. I don't think she's all the way capable to bear another life, because apparently she's on conservatorship, and she has been forced to wear an IUD, which is a birth control device that's placed in your uterus or even in your arm, depending on your choice. And it prevents you from getting pregnant for the next 7 years. It depends on which IUD you get. And it's a great birth control method, of course, but depending on your body, though, because, child, I don't agree with birth control at all. I really don't. It's a pull-out game for me. Again, listener discretion is advised. But it's a pull-out game. Pull it out. I'm not getting on the pill. I'm not getting on IUD again. Because what happened when I was on IUD, I had horrible symptoms. I had horrible side effects. I developed a whole freaking cyst because of it. Allegedly. The doctors couldn't figure it out why, but I kind of put two and two together. And I think the doctors probably can't even say that, oh, it's because of the birth control device that we put in you, because they build their practice on it. Like, they get money for getting more women on this birth control. I was introduced to that birth control because of my gynecologist at the time. She brought it up because she would ask me, what's your form of birth control when having sex, or do you have sex? And then during the time, I remember I was not having sex. I would say I'm celibate. Because I was celibate. I was intentionally not having sex at the time. And then she looked at me like, okay. I think these doctors don't be giving a fuck about religious reasons behind withdrawing from sex or just celibacy in general. Like, they be like, huh? Okay. What's your form of birth control, bitch? Like, that's She wanted to ask me that again, honestly. But yeah, so I don't think they could actually support my reasoning and me saying, because I remember telling my doctor at the time, I was like, I believe and I know that this cyst came about because of this Marina. That's what it was, the birth control Marina. And she couldn't confirm nor deny, basically. But anyway, I am not for birth control. It's a pull-out game for me. I feel like men who don't know how to pull out aren't men. Like, what are we doing? What do you mean you accidentally left it in? What? I'm sorry. Get your dick out of me. You came. Oh, okay. Oh, you're about to come. Get the fuck out. You know, I never had a penis come in me. No, there was one time. And I don't think he really came in me. I think he was afraid to, because he didn't want to have any kids. But no, pull it out. I think niggas who don't know how to pull out aren't niggas, aren't men. They don't know how to they don't know their bodies. They're not aware of their, they're not healthy. Ultimately, if you don't know when you're about to when you're about to come, you're not healthy. You're not healthy. You gotta know when your body is about to explode. I know every time. Like, you feel that buildup. Like, I hate when niggas be like, oh, I forgot. Or, I mean, I've never experienced it. I never had someone accidentally come in me. Because most of the time I've had sex in a condom. And other times it's been a pull-out game. But anyway, how do we get Britney Spears should still be just guarded. In a way, I think she needs help. I was looking at some of the Instagram posts that she's been making lately. This is not an Instagram post or a caption made by a sane woman. This is one that she posted, and it's called, or the picture that she posted. You know how sometimes you could post pictures that just includes words, right? So, and it's not a meme necessarily, it's just a picture with words, because there's no like animation going on. So this picture says, kiss my ass, eat shit, and step on Legos. Now, does that sound like a person who's all the way there? I'm sorry, what the fuck are we talking about? Free Britney? No, bitch, stay locked up. She's not well. Kiss my ass, eat shit, and step on Legos. This is the words of someone who wants to have another child. Okay, girl. Okay, never mind. What are we talking about? Kiss my ass, eat shit, and step on Legos? Girl, we gotta do better. And in the caption, she'll go on these rants, y'all. And what I hate when people talk or type and they put ellipses in between every few words. Like, that's not how you use an ellipsis. The fuck? There should not be 3 dots every other fifth word. This is weird. She needs help, y'all. She needs help. So I'm not on the Free Britney train. I think we live in a world where we're so quick to be on a bandwagon when we don't fucking know the facts. Yes, she's gonna be like, oh, well, I'm being discriminated against, and she's gonna sound very touching. But I think she needs a mental evaluation, and that needs to be considered more than anything else. I think, and it's sad though, but you also need to recognize when you're a child star, she was a child star. She was groomed from the get-go, okay? From the very young age, and has been a superstar. Not even a kind of a star. She had a couple of strong hits. No. It's Britney, bitch. It's Britney, bitch. Like, what? When you get to say that next to your name, you are the main character. You know, people be saying, be the main character of your life. What the fuck are you talking about? Is this a fiction novel? Be the main character of your life. Of course you are. At least you should be. Of course you are. Some people, these damn trends. I would see YouTube videos, how to be the main character in your life. How to be that girl. What the fuck are you what? Just show me a vlog. I just like to watch vlogs. So I think Britney needs to be evaluated. I think this whole Free Britney train, I think it's done with good intention. I think people genuinely care for her. Her fans are her ride or dies, and they want the best for her. So I appreciate seeing that. I just think we need to stop being so quick to taking the side of the the victim. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. No, what I'm saying is we need to look at the whole shit, and we need to face uncomfortable truths and recognize, like, maybe she does need help. Maybe she does need to be on this a little bit longer. Or maybe it can be reevaluated. Maybe her conservatorship can be reevaluated, but I think she still needs help. And I'm saying this with love. You know, I just, like, again, I was just on a whole freaking 45-minute to an hour journey of talking about my mental breakdowns. This is coming from someone who's there, okay? Or who's been there, sis. So that's that. Let's talk about Love Island. Yo, let's talk about Love motherfucking Island. Okay, so Love Island is a show that I just started watching. It's on not Netflix. It's on CBS, and Paramount Plus is like another new streaming device, and I refuse to get. And I won't get. I'm not getting it. But I've been watching Love Island on CBS. I watch it on demand. I've been binge watching it. And this show. So this is my first time watching the show. It's been on for 2 seasons. This is the 3rd season. And this is my first time watching it. I did not watch the 1st or 2nd season. So I'm not sure with, like, the point of the show, honestly. I remember watching the first episode. I'm trying to think of, like, okay, what are we doing though? Like, what's going on? And I'm learning that apparently there's a cash prize for the couple who lasts, right? Or the couple who's voted for. America gets to vote for the house guests to either go on dates or be coupled up. It's kind of weird. I'm not really sure. And they didn't do a good job explaining it in the first episode. Like, I feel like even though this is season 3, every season you should start off by explaining to everyone, right, the viewers, because not every viewer is going to be a long-time viewer, a day one viewer. You have to be alert that not everyone knows what the fuck is going on. So they didn't do a good job. There's barely a host. There's a narrator who likes to crack jokes, and it's cool. But I'm not understanding the concept of the show, really. Like, what's the end game here? Like, it's not a genuine love show. You know how, like, I don't watch The Bachelor, but you know how with The Bachelor it would be, okay, you get a rose. Once you get the rose, you're confirmed to stay on the show for the next episode at least, and you want to make it to the end because you're in it for love, and the end game is to get engaged and get married. They never really got married though in The Bachelor, most of them. But that's the end goal. With Ready to Love, the end goal is not necessarily to get married. Like, it doesn't end, the season doesn't end with marriage, but it ends with, okay, there's only 4 couples who's going to stay on the show, and you get voted on, voted off, but there isn't a cash prize. It's not monetary. So the fact that Love Island has a monetary gain is a little uncomfortable. It's like, okay, is this really love? But whatever, it's a reality show nonetheless. And I started watching it because I was seeing commercials on it, and because I watched Big Brother. Shout out to my Big Brother fans out there. We here, summer 2021. We here. I love Big Brother. Big Brother is just such the shit, yo, because it's really a game about life. What you will do for $250,000. What you would do? Would you be a manipulative what? Would you be a manipulative person? Would you be a person of integrity? What are the alliances that you will create to get to the end? Like, it really tells you about the human experience and the human race, the rat race to making it. You know, what would you do basically. And we get per the title of the show, you get to really watch them as a big brother. You get to watch all the house guests locked in a house, disconnected from the world, compete in competitions, create and form alliances and friendships and relationships with people on the show. Many of the house guests throughout the years the show has been on, Big Brother has been on, there's been romantic relationships formed, marriages started. Like, niggas really find their mate, and it happens organically. It's really beautiful. So yeah, I love that show, and it comes on every summer. So while watching that show, during commercial time, because it's on the same network as Love Island, I would see commercials of Love Island. And this is a commercial that includes a dark-skinned black woman who's bald-headed, scallywag, bald-head, scallywag, no. But she's bald-headed, and she has these strong African features. And what I mean by that is she has a wide nose, she has full lips, she has a big smile, she has wide eyes, like her eyes, she's expressive, okay? And she's black, like she's a black woman, okay? Beautiful body. I think she's a pretty girl. But I was really thrown off with her appearance on the show, because I'm talking about Cache, in case anyone else watches Love Island. I'm talking about Cache, who's also called Cash. I'm trying to figure out what type of black she is. Is she Haitian? Cache? But we don't know their last name. It's just their nickname. Because there's one of the other house guests on the show, his name is Cinco. Like, did your mom name you Cinco? Ocho? Like, what's going on? But so she's on the show, and I was really taken aback with her appearance, because I was like, huh? They have this type of person on the show, on this type of show? And it was no offense to her. It was no offense to her, but you have to be very honest here. We live in a world that does not encourage black beauty, African beauty. We live in a world that actually discourages that actually promotes European-like beauty, that promotes anything that is white. White is right, okay? So when I see this African beauty on the show, who's not an exotic African beauty, you know, sometimes with acceptable beauty standards in the world, it's only acceptable because it's exotic, because it's sexy, it's Latina, it's spicy, it's hot caliente, you know, stuff like that. But when it comes to African, when it comes to just like, no, my hair is kinky and I'm out with it. No, my nose is wide and I'm out with it. No. My lips are plump and full, and my bottom lip is pink, and I'm out with it. I'm emphasizing that, because that's real. We don't see a lot of black women on TV, on these reality shows that are predominantly white. We don't see a lot of black women who are on it, who have African features, including lips that includes a super pink bottom lip. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? That bottom lip when it's extremely pink, especially when you have extremely dark skin, like tar dark, like, you know, dark skin, and your bottom lip is pink. Oh, that's African. You know what I mean? So she has all of that. Like, she is like African to the core. So she probably is African. You know, we're all Africans. But yeah, so she looks exactly like that. And I'm watching these commercials. I'm like, wait, huh? Who is this? Who is this girl? She's on this show? She's on this like typically predominantly white show? Okay, let me check it out. Now, I did not know Love Island was a commitment, child. Oh my God. So it comes on 6 nights out of the week. That's a lot. And thankfully, I just caught on, so I didn't do too much of a catch up. There was 7 episodes that I needed to watch to be current. So I was able to binge watch it and catch up. Child, I'm so triggered with this show, with her being on it. I'm honestly mad that she even went on. I think, yes, I find it commendable. I found it very courageous of her. I commend her for her strength, all that stuff. But I hate that she's on it. I hate that she's on it because she doesn't look as this acceptable beauty standard. She is not seen. She is not heard. She is not valued. She is not appreciated, just based off of the surface. And I think the worst type of, here's the thing. I like when people compliment people on their character, right? Like, you're so strong, you're so resilient, you're funny, you have a great personality. I like those type of compliments more than anything. But it's one thing when you're only complimented on your character and you're not complimented on your looks. That really hurts. I think it's so hurtful. Like, oh wow, she's really funny. She has a cool personality. But you don't say shit about my looks. You don't say, I find you sexy. I find you beautiful. I'm so attracted to you. You don't say that, but you say everything about my character. It's like a backhanded compliment, honestly. It's like, oh, you're dope, but I ain't into you like that. Like, ooh, you ugly though. But you have a great personality, but you ugly though. Like, bitch, what? It's really weird. It's very backhanded. And that has been Cachet's experience on Love Island. And I think about, like, well, why the fuck are we doing this? Like, why aren't there more black men on this show, or more men in general on this show who may find her attractive? Because there's different types of beauty, of course. You know, there are people who, okay, sure, you may just be attracted to gingers. You may just be attracted to blondes. You may just be attracted to brunettes. You may just be attracted to black women. But even with men who are attracted to black women, sometimes their attraction to black women is more European. Okay, oh, she's a black woman. Okay, so she has to be light skinned, or if she is dark skinned, she has to not have strong African features. So she can't have a wide nose. She can't have full plump lips. She can't have these big ass eyes. She can't have super dark skin. Like, you know, so she still kind of have to be white. She got to be as close to white as I could get, but she got to be a black girl with a fat ass, though. You want all of that and a fat ass? Fuck you. So there's this black guy on the show, and he's a black, like, no, he's not a nigga. I mean, when I say black guy, I mean he's pigmented, okay? He's a darker skinned brown man. And it's hard for me to say brown for black people, because when I consider brown for Middle Easterners, like, you know, a Pakistan, you know, an Iranian, I say brown for them. I say yellow for Asians. I don't say yellow, but, you know, like, certain colors just is associated with certain groups of people. So even though, yes, we're not black, like, black people are not like the color black, right? We're brown, but it's just, you say black for blacks, right? Anyway, I say that with love, so I'm just growing in that. But Cinco, he's a black man on the show. He's a darker skinned black man. He's like one of these niggas I would see in Houston, basically. Like, he's an accessible black man. Like, I see this type of black man regularly around town. Like, he's okay. I know that type of black man. He's the only black man who I'm familiar with on the show. Like, I don't know him personally, but I know of him. I know men who look like him. So, and he's naturally attractive, and it is such a double standard, because you can't have a black woman too dark skinned, but you can have a black man very dark skinned, and he be so fine, and he's the standard of beauty, and he's just so gorgeous. But a dark skinned black woman is often not considered the same. So he's the only black man on the show at the time. It seems like there'll be more black men coming in, but the more black men coming in, there's this other guy who came in, his name was Isaiah. I think he has some black in him, but the fact that I even have to say I think he has some black in him goes to show there are not enough black people on the show. Like, you know, like he's super light bright, super curly hair. I think he's Italian, half Italian at least. Like, I know he got some black in him because I could see some black features. But other than that, he got other strong genes in him. Okay? But Cinco is the only black man on the show who is wholly black. Okay? He's all the way black man. Okay? He probably got a big black cock. You know, I just learned what BBC stands for thanks to Judge Joe Brown. That nigga is on a tour. Hello? The YouTube videos that I've been seeing of him on different podcasts, on different talk shows. Yo, I'm enlightened and I am entertained by Mr. Judge Joe Brown. Okay? Hello? He needs to come on this episode. On this podcast in general. No, but he's crazy. But he did say BBC. And he's like, you know what that stands for? And he was talking to Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown was like, I do know what that stands for. And thankfully, because I didn't know what that stands for. So even though Kwame said he knew what it stands for, I still wanted JoJo Brown to tell us, like, what does BBC stand for? And good thing I didn't look it up. Good thing I did not look it up. But he was like, big black cock. Ooh, okay. So that's what Cinco has, clearly. I mean, I don't know. They don't show scenes like that. And he's pretty conservative as far as, like, he's not, like, overly sexual, stuff like that. But anyway, he's the only black guy on the show. He's the only BBC on the show. He's the only BBC nigga on the show. So naturally, you have, so there's another black woman on the show. Her name is Trina. She is more acceptable in her beauty, right? And then you have Cash. So Cash, who is more African beauty, and Trina, who is more acceptable beauty, quote unquote. And of course, these are not standards that I agree with. These are not standards that I believe, but these are standards that are real and that are exactly experiences that people have, that women have in the world, and it sucks. So Trina, and naturally, when you have a black man on the show and you're a black woman, what do? You tend to draw towards who you know, who you grew up with, who you're familiar with. And Cinco is who you're familiar with, who you're naturally going to flock over because first of all, he's fine. Let's start there. But I think he's kind of corny, though. I think he lacks personality. Yes, he's fine I say this all the time. As fine as you are, he looks good. If you don't know anything about anything, I'm turning around and I'm running. Like, what the fuck? He talks in a way, maybe he has a speech impediment, but he talks in a way where he doesn't move his lips. Like he's a fucking ventriloquist. He talks without moving his lips, or at least his upper lip is very straight. He doesn't move his mouth. He doesn't enunciate his word. Like, move your mouth. Move your jaw. Like, you see how I'm talking right now? I'm moving my jaw. Do that. And he's kind of like one of those niggas who's just too cool. He was a NFL football player. So, like, he already has that type of aesthetic going on. But, yeah, so he's corny in my book, but I get it. He's fine. He's still fine. So, he's fine. And so naturally, you have the two black women on the show who are going to flock to him. And for a period in time, Cinco was entertaining and close with Cache. And I was really excited about it. I'm like, oh, this is nice. Okay. Cache is getting some love. Okay, maybe her beauty is being accepted. Her Africanness is being accepted. But come to find out, it wasn't. And he flocked to her because she's a type of person, just like me, who makes you feel, I make niggas feel good, okay? Like, I make you feel seen, I make you feel welcome, I make you feel, even with all that I said earlier. But ultimately, like, when you're in relations with me, when we're close, I give a fuck about you. I really am, specifically when we're in a romantic setting, even with like friends, of course, but I'm being specific to romantic settings. Like, if I am romantic with you, if I am in a romantic relationship with you, I really do my best to make you feel like I value you, because I do. And that is something that Cache exemplifies as well. She is someone who is definitely someone who just makes you feel good. You feel good in her presence. You feel loved. You feel cared for. Like, you really feel like that shit. And he, I don't think he knew it, and I don't want to necessarily say that he ain't shit. I don't think he's a bad guy to say, but I think he took advantage of that. I think she is just someone, to him and to a lot of people, at least people on the show, who is seen as a safe choice. Like, oh, she's safe. Like, I could get with her. She's someone who will make me feel good. They take advantage of that. Instead of no one, like, he wasn't with her because he was attracted to her personality, like, personally, well, physically. He was attracted to her person, right? He was attracted to her personality, her mind, the strength that she has to cut her hair and be bald. And she, not like she's bald, but her hair is super short. And I just really find it so offensive when people compliment you in a way that is so dismissive to your physical appearance. And though I do appreciate character compliments, compliments about your character, compliments that really show me that you care about me as a person, because looks are fleeting, but still in this moment in time, right? I'm in my prime. I'm looking this way, and the fact that you're not interested in how I look hurts. It really does hurt. So it's this whole show and this whole experience watching it, like, it's good TV, but it's definitely triggering, and it sucks because, like, I know how that feels. There was a moment when Cache was talking to Isaiah. Now, look, I'm gonna be very clear. I think Cache is a pretty girl. I think the wigs, though. Look, who else watch Love Island? Can we talk about Cache's wigs and just be honest here? Can we just talk? I think some people, and maybe she hasn't found a wigologist. Maybe she hasn't hasn't watched enough YouTube videos to know how to place a wig on her head. But I think some people should just never wear wigs. I really think so. Like, I think maybe there are just some head shapes that should never have a wig on. Like, you should never even look at a wig, okay? Don't even look a wig's way. So the wigs that she'll put on her head, because she'll interchange between having her bald head out and wearing wigs, which is cool. You could change and accessorize your hair however you please. But child, her wigs, it's like she'll just like plop it on her head. Like, girl, I get it why niggas ain't picking you that wig. Again, I am joking. No, but seriously, those wigs need to stop. She looks beautiful without the wig. Like, she should just stay bald, or find a wigologist who knows how to place it on her head. But I think her head shape is not for a wig, because her head is so oval, and it's like, it's a mannequin head, which is funny because, you put wigs on mannequins to, I don't know, but it doesn't go with her. I don't see it. At least it hasn't gone with her from the wigs that I've seen. It's not it. But anyway, she was talking to Isaiah, and Isaiah's another black guy on the show. He's the black guy who, I think he's black, because he has some black features, but there hasn't been a scene where he talks about his race, so I'm not too sure. But he definitely got some white in him, Italian. Like, there's something else going on. So she's talking to him one-on-one. And he opened up and talked about his childhood and how he grew up and how he looked physically growing up. He was always a skinny kid. He was super skinny growing up. And he learned about, like, health and eating habits and fitness. And he became a fitness trainer. And he learned how to gain weight and assess it, like, put it in the right places in his body, and he looks good. But he was sharing his insecurities about being this skinny kid, being this, like, frolicking skinny kid when he was younger. And that opened the conversation for Cache to share her experience growing up. And she said how she didn't say ugly, but she was the unattractive girl growing up. And we know what that means. Like, you was the ugly duckling, right? You was the ugly one growing up. And she said how she was growing up, she wasn't the attractive one. People weren't typically attracted to her. So when you're the unattractive one growing up, you then depend on your personality. You grow a personality. You grow talents and skills and realize gifts that you never realized you had. And you really bank on your personality because your appearance obviously isn't doing it for these niggas. So let me bank on my personality. And I was just so saddened by that. I was so saddened by that because I was her. I was her growing up. And even when I look back at myself and I don't look at older pictures, but I will remember how I looked growing up. And I wouldn't even say I was an ugly duckling, but I just wasn't pretty enough for the boys back then. Because the standard of beauty growing up in Boston, in Dorchester, in the early 2000s, late 90s, I was not meeting the beauty standards. I was not Cape Verdean. And it's funny because Cape Verdeans are Africans. They're black people. But they did not embrace their black. They at least at that time. I don't know if they do now. But at the time, they did not embrace their blackness. They just said, no, I'm Cape Verdean. I'm not black. I'm Cape Verdean. It's like, okay, bitch, but Cape Verde is in Africa. Okay. But, so... And they were typically lighter skin. And their hair was super wavy and curly. So they definitely didn't have kinky textured hair, even though there are Cape Verdeans who do, but I only grew up with the ones who did not, or the ones who always had their hair straightened. So if their hair was kinky, there was a few Cape Verdean girls that I grew up with in high school, though, who were more diverse in their hair texture. They had more of a thickness in their hair. But the ones I grew up with in middle school, 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, like those years, they had super curly hair, super lighter textured hair. And they were the pretty girls. They were the standard of beauty during that time growing up for me. And I'm obviously not that, right? I have kinky hair. I have darker skin. I have, and then their features were not, they have full lips. Full lips was the thing back then too, because there was this thing called, was it DSL? Dick sucking lips. Yo, niggas were just straight disrespectful growing up. Oh, you got that DSL? Because it wasn't DSL a company, an internet company back then. You got DSL? Right, and I really thought they meant, oh, do you have the Wi-Fi system? No, bitch, can you suck this dick with your DSL lips? And I didn't have DSL. Like, my lips are not, I don't have white girl lips, no. But I did not have those, like, that full plump lips. That full plump lip. And some of these Cape Verdean girls that I grew up with did. So they had that, but they didn't have too wide of a nose. They had lighter skin. Their hair was curly and long, and you always see their hair like super long. And you see the black girls, including myself, who didn't have that long of a hair, or our hair will only reach a certain level. And basically, yeah, I did not meet that standard growing up, and I was totally unseen. I was totally ignored. I remember this was in 7th grade. I remember everything, yo. But I remember 7th grade, there was a list being created. And this was a class list that my classmates put together. And in this list was like, who's the prettiest and who's the ugliest. And if you are to the top, right, like 1, 2, 3, like top 5, then you're that shit. You're that girl. You're top 5. But anyone down below, you're not pretty. You're ugly. You're not attractive. And I remember that list. They literally, because back then we didn't have cell phones, or like not everyone had a cell phone at least. It wasn't made on a cell phone. It was on a loose leaf paper. That nigga took out the fucking notebook and wrote on it. The pen, not an iPen, not an Apple pen. But yeah, I remember the guys, took out this list and voted for who ranked where on this pretty list. And I remember hearing the results of this list. I already knew where the fuck I stood. And it's funny because even though, like, I know I'm attractive, right? I have confidence in myself. I like how I look. I appreciate my appearance. Just has it, like, I don't want to look anybody else. I don't want to look like anybody else. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to look like anybody else. I don't want to be anybody else. I like my features. I love all these things about myself. I remember, and I even growing up, like, my mom always emphasized on our looks. Like, she always made sure we looked well. Like, of course, we were bathed and taken care of, but, like, we got our hair done regularly. And at that time, I got a perm. My hair was super full, even in a perm, because yes, you can still have full, healthy hair in a perm. But my hair was super full and long. What is it? I always wore nice clothing. Like, even though we went to a Catholic school and we had uniform, my uniform was clean and fresh and dry cleaned, and I showered. You know, I had clean shoes that were cute and well polished. My dad would polish my shoes. My dad was a great polisher of shoes. I don't know why he knew how to, but yeah, my dad polished my shoes. Yeah, so I will always wear lip gloss. Like, I was put together. I was a bad bitch in my head for me. Like, I was good for me, but I wasn't good to these guys. I wasn't good to the girls there either. Like, I wasn't good enough. So although I was confident in myself and how I looked and my appearance and all that, I knew what this list was going to look like. So, of course, the top 5 on the list were all the Cape Verdean girls, like, instantly. Even if I didn't see them as pretty girls, like, oh, I don't think they're that cute, but they were Cape Verdean, their top 5 is a given. They made it to the top 5, and as soon as it got lower onto the list, you see black girls on the list. You see dark-skinned black girls on the list. You see them 6, 7, 8. And I ranked last, y'all. I was number 10. I think it was top 10, right? And classes back then, for me, were super small. Like, we didn't have, public, and I went to Catholic school, so that's also a factor. But I didn't have classrooms of like 30 students. Like, no, we had niggas knew everyone in the classroom. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't have that public school experience where it's a room full of 50 students. Like, that is crazy. That is abuse. That I never had that experience. Never. Even now as a teacher, I don't have classrooms of 35 students. Like, no, it's 22, 25 is the cap, if that. And if you have 25, then even that is like, damn, this is a lot. Anyway, I was the last on the list, y'all. I was the last on the list. The last on the list. And I remember that being said, people were whispering it and being intuitive, I guess, but just obviously hearing other people. I just knew where I stood. I knew where I stood on the list, and I was so sad. I remember that it was yesterday. I was so sad, and I would think I would go home. I went home that day, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, why? Ooh, okay, I'm fine. But I went home and I was thinking, like, why am I not pretty enough? Like, why am I not good? Like, why don't they see that I take care of myself? Like, my hair is nice. I smile. I have a great smile. I wear lip gloss. I felt like I was enough for me, but it wasn't enough for the people then. It wasn't enough for my classmates. It wasn't enough for the guys then. And these were black guys, niggas. So when Cachet was talking about it on the show, how she grew up as the unattractive one. I'm happy that she said unattractive, because it's not about like ugly or pretty. It's about not being attractive enough or attractive at all to the standard at that time for beauty. So it really fucks with you. It fucks with you. It really fucks with you. So when you grow up and growing more into yourself, and like I remember like growing up and being in high school and feeling the same way, even though I went to it was a predominantly black high school, but white supremacy reigns wherever. Like if you don't meet this white supremacist ideology of beauty, you're not pretty. You're not attractive to what the standard is. So it doesn't even matter, you know? So even in high school, I felt the same way. But I remember going to undergrad, going to UNH, and okay, y'all hear that? Someone's getting arrested or shot, either one. But I remember going to undergrad. It was like my sophomoric year of undergrad. And I was like hooking up with this black guy. And I wasn't really walking in my fullness yet as a woman. Like I wasn't really recognizing the shape that I was turning into. Like I had more curves. I was growing into my curves. Like I'm curvaceous now. But when I was growing up, I was very skinny, considering. But in my undergraduate years, like my bubble butt came out. Like I had a bubble butt. And my stomach was still flat. My boobs were getting fuller, and like you could see, I was shapely. I was that girl. I was the main character. And you could see it more, you know. So you have to understand, like going to schools like I went to schools wearing uniform from 1st grade until 12th grade. So I was always wearing a uniform, okay? And there were times, of course, where you can have a free dress day on a Friday, or has an incentive if you made the honor roll. Only honor roll students get to wear free dress. So that was cool. But for the most part, you only saw me in uniform. So even though I was skinny then, like I was not able to show my body and like add that onto my attractive radar for these niggas. Like, so there was a lot. So I didn't meet the beauty standard, and I wasn't able to show my body because I was in uniform. Not to say your body should have to impact your attractive meter, but unfortunately it does. It does. So all that considered, so going to undergrad and obviously not wearing uniform, and I was seeing a diverse group of people. Like I was seeing people who didn't think the way that was thought growing up. Like it wasn't always white is right. There were a lot of black men who valued and appreciated and was attracted to black women. So I love seeing that, even though there were black men who was with the Willie Whites, okay? The Lily Whites, Willie Whites, all of them. But there were plenty of black men who loved and adored black women. So this one black guy I was hooking up with, and he made me look in the mirror. And I didn't realize I was like not aware of myself. But he's like, look at your body. You're beautiful. Like you are, like he was like assessing everything in me. Like, and I was in awe, right? Because, whoa, I've never had a man had me look at myself or even recognize any ounce of beauty in me. Instead, all the years prior, you know, growing up in high school, in middle school, elementary school, I was never that attractive girl. So I finally came across a guy, and it was just a regular nigga. It wasn't like somebody who I really liked. It was just some nigga I was hooking up with. He was the catalyst for me to see more of my beauty. Like he made me, in that moment, there was a realization that was had. And I was taken aback, like, oh, wow. It was more so a realization, like, oh, there are men who find me attractive. There are black men who find me, there are white men who find me attractive. You know, there are Hispanic men who find me attractive. There are men who find me attractive. And this is evidence of that, right? This was an example of that. And he made me see that for that moment, at least. And it was a catalyst of me stepping into my fullness and really being that girl. So seeing that scene of Cachet saying being the unattractive girl, it really triggered with me. It really made me feel like, damn, I get it. I get how feeling like this or being seen as unattractive really fucks with you. Because it fucked with me so much that I was not seeing how beautiful I was, how much I was blossoming, and the body that I was growing into, and my facial features, and all these great things about me. I was not seeing that because no one saw it in me before, so I didn't see it in myself. So I banked on my personality. I banked on all these other things about myself that were not physical because no one saw the physical beauty in me. So when people say, like, even now, like, when people will compliment me, like, physically, it's like, I remember, like, coming in here, like, moving to Houston and feeling like, okay, well, yeah, these niggas hook up, like, you know, these niggas will approach me or whatever, but I feel like I just got fine, in a way. Like, I just got fine. I just got this. When it's not, that's not true, but it feels true because all the years growing up, I was not considered fine. I was not considered attractive. So now, and starting in undergrad, now I'm being seen as attractive. I'm being looked at. I'm being hollered at. All these things. It's like, oh, wait, what? It's a lot of undoing. So when we grow up into adults, it's so funny. I feel like adulthood is really about unlearning a lot of stuff, unlearning a lot of beliefs, unlearning a lot of limited thought patterns that we had growing up about any and everything, about money, about beauty, about yourself. Adulting is about unlearning. That's really what I'm realizing at my 30 years of age. So Love Island is a show on CBS. And you know what? I feel like Cachet, I'm still mad that she's on the show. I commend her for being on the show, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she's someone who would have been better on a show like Ready to Love. You know, Ready to Love is an all black cast of people who are looking to love, who are ready to love, who go on dates with each other, and they are intentional, and at least seemingly some of them are. But you see more black people, you see more black options, you see them. And with Love Island, it's not black oriented. It's not on a black network. There are not black producers. Apparently the producers there for the show are older white men. What the fuck do they know about, oh, maybe we should have more than one black guy on the show for these two black women? Like, just to even it out. There's like 5-6 white men on the show, but the black guys are very few in between. And they may think, oh, well, we got this other black guy. When the other black guy is not even pigmented black, and he may be Italian. Like, I don't even know what type of black I don't know is he a Meghan Markle black? Like, what's going on? So I don't know. Anyway, let's end it off here. Thank you so much for listening to my ramblings. I appreciate every listen. Continue to reach out to me with feedback on your opinions on anything that I shared on this episode. I appreciate every listen. I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. There may not be an episode next week because I will still be on vacation. So from this recording, I'll be going on vacation come tomorrow. And I won't be back until a few days after the next recording. So there may not be an episode. If you would like, I encourage you to sign up to our Patreon if you want to hear some exclusive episodes that have not been released on the main platforms. So check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/GodBuiltThis. The link is always in the show notes, so check that out. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening, and goodbye. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.